Hello. Today I'm down here in the reed beds, just in this little nook that was created by the fishermen. The lake has dropped so much. Where I'm standing right now, when I came back here in January, was all underwater. So it's kind of an interesting place to make a video, I think. And there should be an interesting effect happening, maybe a bit towards the end of the video. Maybe you can hear what it might be concerning. We'll see. So today I'm going to be talking with you about the Trecena of Tijax. And Tijax representing the obsidian blade, representing that which cuts, representing purification and healing. It's the removal of what we don't need in the world. The obsidian blade cutting away. It's the purification, the refinement. That's what the obsidian blade is here to do. Okay, and so we're going to start the Trecena with the day 1 Tijax. So the 1 representing novelty, the 1 representing beginnings and birth. Now Tijax, that obsidian blade, it could belong to the warrior, it could belong to the surgeon. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack around that. We could see, if we see it as the warrior, we see the warrior who is on a holy quest. And when we think about it like that, we could understand that 1 Tijax could be the day that begins a new quest. Something that you're charged up about, something that you're ready to really go forward with, something that you feel, how can I put it, like full of energy to go on this quest. You've been born, you've got on the road, you've been energized by Can, you've received the power, you've received the wisdom, you've received the tools, and now it's time to set out on the quest. And 1 Tijax is a great day to begin that. We could also see it as the beginning of the healing process. So maybe there's something in your world that you're, kind of like been putting off for a little while. Now, it's probably not going to be, you can't be watching this video and then going and getting the surgery done right there and then. But maybe it's about the beginning of that process. Maybe it's about the beginning of a healing process that you're needing to work with, a purification. I know there would be many people that would be finishing their period of 40 days of Lent, if maybe they gave up something for Lent. Well, maybe that's not your thing. It's not really my thing. But maybe Tijax Trecena is a great day for that kind of purification, or a great time for that kind of purification. And it's a good time to be like letting go of something, cutting something away to purify yourself. We could think of it as well as a time of discernment. And maybe this is where it all comes from. Or this idea of purification, or this idea of removal of that which is not fit for purpose. The Tijax Trecena and the day 1 Tijax would be a great day to begin that, to find our discernment, to find something new to remove in order to bring things into their higher purpose. From 1 Tijax, we then go to 2 Kwok. So Kwok, the Nawal of the rains, and Nawal of the storms. Well, here in Guatemala, we had our first proper rain last week. Hasn't rained since, mind, but like it's coming. Each afternoon, we're seeing this. There's no mountains to be seen. There's no clarity across the lake. Everything is starting to cloud up. The moisture is starting to get into the air, and the rains are coming. And in this time of year, we can really see the difference between, the dry season and the rainy season, especially when we look up there, up into the mountains, and we see how bone dry everything is up there, how brown and yellow everything is up there. And it reminds us of the stark contrast that comes when there's no rain. And so Kwok being the Nawal of the rain, the one that brings things back to life. And here with the number 2, okay? So, yes, it might be a great day day to be asking for rain, having seen the effects of no rain or too much rain. Kwok days are great days to ask the rain to be gentle if it's being too overpowering, if there's flooding. It's also a great day to ask for the rains to come. I saw one of my friends with her incensario the other day as the rain was falling over in one of the local villages with her incensario, greeting the rain to say thank you for bringing life back to the world. Now, we can also see Tash and Kwok working like a pair. Tash being the one that cuts, and then Kwok being the one that provides the aftercare. So they're both healing, but one is kind of like the active form. The other might be seen as being more passive. One is the one that is, performing the surgery, the other one for performing the aftercare. Now, Kwok can also be very strong when it comes to making sure that things happen, making sure that we go through with things and go through with our healing process, go through with our purification process, maybe. And so when we see two Kwok, we also see the two being about choices. It's this way or that way. It can be very binary in its nature, heads or tails, 1 or 0. And so with two Kwok, it's like, right, okay, you're going to go through with this or you're not going to go through with this. I'm talking about like the Tihash Trecena bringing in the healing, for example. Now we might be a little bit afraid because maybe we're going to go for some surgery or something like that. And that's certainly not painless. And Kwok's kind of like saying, right, okay, we need to move forward. We need to bring life back. How can we help? But how can we also push that through? How can we soothe? How can we provide the aftercare? And so Kwok might be looking at the choices with regards to that, looking at the choices that help us to move forwards with this purification. From Kwok, we then go to 3 Arpu. Arpu representing our quest for the divine, our divine path, our kind of return to the source, as it were. And here, coupled with the number 3, which takes us to the inner world, takes us inside. And so 3 Arpu, I feel, is a day when we need to look inside to find out about our divine path. Now, of course, there are many resources out there, this being one of them as well, I suppose. I'm not discounting it out of that, which are kind of like we could see as external guidances that try and help us to find out more about the hero within us, try and find us more about how to follow our higher purpose and all that kind of thing. But ultimately, your guide is within you. It's you that understands truly what your path is, your spiritual path. Who is the hero within you? What are you here to really do? Now, if this is the Trecena when you're going out on your quest, it's a really good idea to check in with your divine self to make sure that you're going in the right direction. Okay, so the 3 days, I often see them as days to go within, days to be within the home or within the heart, to look inwards and ask, where am I going? On my divine quest, on my search for my connection with higher powers, greater forces, myself, my quest, whatever it might be. 3 Arpu is a great day to do that, to take a little time to retreat, to go within and to find out what's going on within your heart. It helps you connect with your higher purpose. From 3 Arpu, we then go to 4 Imos. Imos representing the lake, representing the great bodies of water, representing the dream world, representing that which connects us all together. And here, connected with the number 4, the material world. Now, one of the ways that I see this is about bringing our dreams into the physical world. That's a very important thing. But we can also see it as connection with the material reality that we're in. Now, that can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. If we're connecting with our community in a positive and beneficial way, then that's great. But we could also see if 4 represents the material and Imos represents our psychic field, we could almost understand that we might get kind of like caught up in the material. Okay, this is the Trecena of Tijax. Here you are with your obsidian blade, walking through, able to slice through whatever you need to slice through. So what do you need to slice through? What might you need to disconnect from in the material world? Maybe, kind of like you're getting over influenced by social media or whatever it might be, and you just need to shut it all out. I mean, this is going back to that 3 day in a way, kind of like going within to find your true self. Well, the 4 Imos is also saying kind of like, okay, what about those dreams that you wanted to manifest into the world? Rather than the ones that maybe society was kind of convincing you to do, or maybe you got caught up in other stuff. 4 Imos could be a great day to take some time by the water to understand better how to materialize your dreams into the physical world. From 4 Imos, we then go into 5 Ich. So Ich, the Nawal of the wind, Ich, the Nawal of communication. And here with the number 5, representing the hard work that we do with our hands. Okay? So if we see that about putting our energy into it, putting our work into whatever it might be, and what it might be is communication. Okay? So sometimes the words don't quite come out right. Sometimes we know that we've got to put a little bit more into it. We've got to put a little bit more effort into it. And 5 Ich may be just that. But in my experience, when we put that work in, when we put that effort in, we get far more out of it than we were ever expecting to receive. And so for me, the day 5 Ich is a real good day to be sitting down and working on your communication, to be putting your effort and your energy into your words, whatever they may be, into your breath, which is empowering your quest and taking you forwards. From 5 Ich, we're then going into 6 Aabal. So Aabal representing the dawn and the dusk. Aabal representing the sunrise, the sunset, and the times just before them. The conception of the new day as it moves in, as it brings us the possibilities, the new possibilities that might come out. Aabal acting as a bridge between the night and the day. Aabal acting as a bridge between the dream and reality. And here we see it with the number 6, the number which brings in the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth into that physical reality, the number of family. So yes, we could see it as a new dawn. Yes, we could see it as a new concept which is given stability. Okay, so that number 6 that comes in to bring ultimate stability. And so, kind of like as we're going out on our quest, as we're going through the Tijax Trecena, we can imagine that 6 Kwok, the 6 Aabal, really representing the stabilization of the new concept. Whatever it is that you're bringing in, 6 Aabal is a great day to start to reveal it to the world, start to get it out there, just kind of like start to open the box so we can have a sneak preview of what it's going to be. Because that 6 brings that stability. Now, the 6 is also said to represent family, so maybe that could also be a great day to, reveal your new quest to your family, as it were, reveal your new concepts to your family. From 6 Aabal, we're then going into 7 Cat. So 7 Cat, the day which represents gathering, the net with Cat, and the number 7 representing endings, finality. It's kind of interesting because Cat can be seen very much as a day of catch and release. What you're going to hold in your net, what you're going to let go. And when we see the number of finality connected with it, it's either hold on to it or it's going to be let it go. And if you're going to let it go for good. This is this Trecena of purification, right? This is this Trecena of cleaning ourselves up or whatever it is. To we've got to go on if we're going on our quest, we got to be kind of like prepared and ready and all that kind of thing. And 7 cat is going to make sure that we're carrying exactly what we need to carry in our bags, in our nets with us. And so it's finally releasing what needs to be let go of. Okay? We could also see that cat, kind of like as the net. How do we get out the net? We use the obsidian blade. So they're kind of like working in some kind of symbiotic way together. The Tash knife cutting the cat bonds which have been holding us tight. Okay? So when I'm making offerings to cat, I often make offerings and give thanks for liberty. And of course, if we're going to go out on our quest, we've got to cut ourselves free. So it could be like finally breaking yourself free of a bond or a burden that's been holding on to you. I mean, this particularly, if we were looking at like the Trecena of Tijax as being a purification, maybe a good time to like give up a vice or something like that, give up an addiction. We could see that addiction as being something which is a burden on us. We could see it as being something which is a bind on us. And here we are, the 7 cat, kind of like finally being released from that thing which has been holding on to us. Of course, when we release stuff from our net, that then opens up to allow us to bring more in. And maybe it's what we need in our quest. Okay? From 7 cat, we then move into 8 can here, the celebration day of our teachers. The 8th day of the Trecena can very much be seen as a day of ceremony. It's a day of wholeness. Now, we can see can representing wisdom. We can see can representing power. It's the understanding of how to use our power. That's what brings our wisdom. That's also, like when we share our wisdom, that's what helps to empower others. Okay? And when we share our wisdom, we are teachers. Okay? So we are teachers that help to empower others. Simple as that. Okay? Now, of course, if we try and hold on to our wisdom, we try and hold on to our power, we're kind of like trying to have power and create illusion over others. That's the other side of can. And sometimes, sometimes as we've like worked through our lives, let's say we probably haven't always got it right. And sometimes we need to get it wrong in order to learn. That's where our wisdom comes from. It doesn't come from getting it right every time. And so with 8 can, we're embracing that wholeness. We're embracing the wholeness that comes, the wisdom that comes from getting it wrong once in a while, from understanding, kind of like how to use our power, how to embrace all sides of it so that we can share our wisdom. Okay? Now, I mentioned as well, kind of like the 8-day being ceremonial day. And like if we were looking at, kind of like who we would be giving our thanks to on that day, I think it would be our teachers, those who have empowered us through the sharing of their wisdom. From 8 can, we then move into 9 kame. Now, this is going to be a very special day, as if 9 kame would not be a very special day on its own. I really like 9 kame as a day, as a concept. The reason being that we have the 9, which can be seen as the number of feminine, the number of life, and we have kame, which could be seen as the Nawal of death. So it's kind of like, is this really interesting balance between the number of life and the Nawal of death? And we could see this as representing the whole cycle of life and death. Now, if that was not an auspicious enough idea to have behind that day, this is also the day of the great solar eclipse, that's moving across North America. So we will be observing, or I'll be observing it here in Guatemala, although we're only going to get a little partial eclipse. I'll be taking some photo with an appropriate solar filter on my camera and projecting through the telescope, the projection not looking at it in any way, shape or form, but projecting it onto cards so that we can see it moving across. And so what an interesting day for a solar eclipse to fall on. Because, for those of you who are under the path of totality in North America who get to observe that, it is like life and death being present in one day. It is like that effect when it goes dark, when the birds start singing like they are now at sunset, then the animals start going a bit crazy when the darkness comes in the middle of the day. This are all the effects that you might see, and it is kind of like life and death both being present at the same time. So how interesting that it falls on 9 Kamei. And it will fall on 9 Kamei in 10 cycles time as well. In around about 2,600 days time, there'll be another solar eclipse, but that will probably be in the southern hemisphere. So what to do with 9 Kamei? Well, like I say, it's a celebration of life and death. And here we see it. It's falling in this Tijax Trecena. Understanding that in order for, kind of like life to go on, there are some things that are going to have to make way in it. There is a continual cycle of our world, the life and death that happens. And of course, as new life comes in, something has to make space for it. So it's a day to maybe come to terms with that, to walk through it in this Tijax Trecena, to be understanding that full cycle and to see it coming like right to the fore. From 9 Kamei, we then move into 10 Q'ij, okay? The Nawal of the wilderness. Q'ij, the mountain place, the tree place, where we derive our strength, where we are strengthened in order to go out and do our things, strengthened to maybe to go on our quest. And here we see it with the number 10, representing the two hands coming together, representing community, representing society, agreements. It's a great day for a communal hike. It's a great day to walk in the woods with your friends, with your family. A great day to come together for those kind of purposes. For strengthening of community through the connection with the natural world. 10 Q'ij brings that out really strongly. So if you have the opportunity to do that, then it's, take it with both hands. We could also see it. It's a great day to connect with nature. Q'ij days are always those days. And here it might give you a better idea of how to create agreements within your community and within your society. Those agreements, they're what bond us all together. They keep everything running smoothly. And, in this Trecena of Tijax, as we go out on our quest, surely that this peacemaking that might come through these agreements has got to be part of it. And maybe we're going to get the understanding or the idea of how to create peace through our connection with the natural world. From 10 Q'ij, we're then moving into 11 Anil. So, Anil, the Nawal of yellowing, the Nawal of ripening, the ripening of the corn, everything becoming yellow. Everything that we're receiving coming to us. Everything that we've been working on ripening. And when I say everything, well, we got it here connected with the number 11, and it's over there, and it's over there, and it's over there, and it's over there. Okay? So, Anil, I could see as being a very prosperous Nawal, because it's about receiving the fruits of our labor. It's about the harvest, harvesting our corn. Our corn's yellow, it's ready, it's like, take it in. We sell it at the market, we feed our family, and all of that kind of thing. And so this is our projects. This is kind of like what we work on. And here we see it ripening with the number 11. And the number 11 might be coming in from many different directions. Now, in some ways, we could see Anil as abundance. So, abundance coming from many different directions. Well, we like the sound of that one, don't we? It might be that we have to keep some focus, though, because the 11, we're kind of drawn over there and drawn over there and drawn over there and drawn over there. And that might not be such a bad thing. Because, like, what it might be is that in these different directions, what you're finding is the inspiration or the understanding of how to bring your projects to completion. So if you're just looking for a few missing pieces that that are going to finally finish it off, so that you can reap the benefits of your hard work, then 11th Anil might be a great day to be keeping your eyes open, keeping your senses open, and trusting your intuition to follow into the places where the understanding of how to bring things to ripeness lies. Okay? From 11th Anil, we're then going into 12 Toch. So here, Toch, the opportunity to give back, the opportunity to pay our debts, to balance the books, the opportunity to make donations. As usual, I'll have the donations and the sites for the donations right here so that you can give back if you wish to the local communities here and projects that help to support them. So the number 12 representing all of our life experiences. The number 12 representing bundling things together. So it's everything that has supported us and sustained us through life. And what do we see it with? Toch, payment, giving something back. So it's literally giving back for that which supports us throughout our life, which we've, kind of like built our lives around. And most of us, hopefully, we've been paying as we've been going along. But 12 Toch is a great day to redress that balance. Now, we're in that Trecena of Tijax, okay? So as we're going through that Trecena, we're purifying, we're clearing out. And here, what we see with the 12 Toch, this could represent a life debt. This could represent something that, kind of like maybe you've been putting off, you've been dragging around, you've been holding on to for rather a long time, you've been carrying it around as a life debt for a while. Well, 12 Toch would be a great day to assess it, analyze it, and get to work on paying it off so that you can move forward, so that you can go forward on your quest. This is kind of like the final clear out, what helps you to heal. And so 12 Toch is a great day to be making those payments to clear off any life debts that you might be holding on to. I think this is the effect that I was talking about. Can you hear the birds? They're in the reeds around me, and I think it's only going to get louder. So we're going to finish the Tijax Trecena on the day 13C. So 13C is a very interesting day. Of course, we can see Tzi, the Nawal of the dog, the Nawal of faith and loyalty and justice and law. Tzi, the Nawal of the vices as well. And so, you've seen, we're ending up that Trecena of purification on, kind of like the ultimate day of temptation. It's like, right, okay, you spent 13 days purifying. Are you ready yet? Have you really done it? Are you really, have you really quit, as it were? But there's a really interesting thing with 13 C as well, and that relates to something over on the other side of the lake. Now, a few years ago, I was reading an article by a scholar in the city, a Mayan scholar called Julio Menchu, and he was saying that the days of the Rilachmam, this is the what has sort of become Mashimon, as it were. His real days were 13 Arpu and 13C. And he is seen as the Earth Lord, and he is also sometimes seen, he's this cigarette smoking, rum drinking effigy. The great grandfather over in Santiago Atitlan in particular is where, kind of like we find, well, maybe the main one around here. And it's a very, very interesting custom. And 13Z is said to be one of his days. And so here we see it celebrated. Now, if we see that as our connection with those earthy things, like I say, when you go over to visit Mashimon, as a good friend of mine, Dolores Radsan, does a wonderful tour to go and see him over there. And you will see the people feeding him ramen, feeding him, like they put a cigarette in his mouth and they light it. And this is a very, very, very old custom. And one of the ways that I understand is that when you go to visit, you go and give those offerings to the Earth Lord so that he doesn't take it through you or your friends or your family. Okay, so it's to help. He kind of like takes it on in their place, is what I understand it to be. Okay, so getting back to 13Z, Z, faith, loyalty, justice, the law. And what do we see it connected with? 13, the ancestors, spirit. And we see this, the guiding force. It's like, let's say that this is, we could always think of the 13 day as kind of like, almost like the light at the end of the tunnel, right? This is where we're going to. This is our ultimate destination on that Trecena. And what is that Trecena? Well, that Trecena is the Trecena of Tijax. As I said, it's about the quest. And what do we going forward? So if we're on a quest, then we have something ahead of us. And what's ahead of us? Well, it's faith in spirit, faith in the ancestors. That's the 13Z. And so sometimes, of course, we are going to get into that situation where we lose our faith. We're going to get into that situation where we're kind of like, we're about ready to give up our quest, our challenge. It's just all been too hard. It's too difficult. Why me? Why was I chosen to do this, or whatever it might be? That we get those kind of thoughts running through our head, or whatever. Well, 13C might just be the day to receive, to like that faith back again. It's like it's from spirit, from the ancestors. How is it going to come into your life? It's worth keeping your eyes open, because this is the day on which it might come back. It's also, of course, Z can represent unconditional love. And so this 13Z day could very much be attached or considered to relate to the unconditional love that comes from our ancestors. Kind of like we could see it if we think of Z as our guardian, because it's like our dog, our protector that guides us on our road. It takes us on our journey. It protects us on the way. And here it's almost like, how could I put it, like the spirit dog that guides us, the spirit of the ancestors that protects us and guides us along our spiritual path on our quest. So I hope that that's been interesting for you, and I look forward to seeing you in 13 days' time for the Trecena of Bats. Thank you.